Shalom means the way it was created to be, the way it ought to be. It's how everything was when God created the earth. He declared each creation good. And that's not a term that God throws around loosely like we sometimes do. In fact, when God finally created people, he said that creation was now very good, or perhaps more clearly, exceedingly good. What happened? There is good out there, but are our lives always exceedingly good? Even regular levels of good don't have people dying from COVID, do they? Recent events in Afghanistan can't even begin to be called good. What has made the human experience and creation itself your experience? What has made it less than good? Selfishness, ultimately. The first people chose themselves over God and broke their relationship with God. Broken, now misery, sickness, pain, and death were available to experience, though we were never meant to. And as people broke, as their relationship with God broke, creation broke around them. Earthquakes, tornadoes, famine, and predatory animals all added to the brokenness that humanity caused, things like robbery, murder, wars, and oppression. We were racking up quite a debt with our Creator because we owed Him. We were created for a purpose, and we decided we didn't like the identity that God created in us, and we demanded to be able to identify as we wish. That's not new. It's as old as humanity. It shows up in all obedience issues. I want to decide what's right for me. Nobody can tell me what's right or wrong but me. We all want that at times. It becomes our identity. Our ledger was full of red ink. We were swimming in spiritual debt. And throughout human history, when someone was in debt, they were put into debtor's prison. I always wondered about that. How are you supposed to ever pay someone back when you were in prison? The only way out was if someone took pity on you and paid for you to get out. That's the situation that we found ourselves in, amidst the brokenness that we caused for rejecting who God created us to be and what He created us for. We needed someone else to pay for us to get out of prison, ultimately referring to hell, the place of eternal punishment that we're going to have to hear more about today. God didn't want our broken relationship with Him to stand, though. He doesn't want to keep us in debtor's prison. But it's wrong of Him to just waive the debt. Why? Because we caused the debt not just by hurting God, but by hurting each other. And both are too terrible to just ignore. It would literally be unrighteous of a holy God to ignore the hurt that we caused. So while He cannot waive the debt away, He can and did find another way for the debt to be paid. Jesus, who while fully God, also came to earth as a human being, born as a baby, grown to a man, and yet never generating any of this debt for Himself. Because He had no debt, He was able to take our debt onto Himself because He was willing to pay the terrible, terrible cost. While Rome crucified many people, no one faced punishment like Jesus, because it was punishment on a physical level, certainly, but He faced spiritual punishment as well, equal to the punishment we all owed. He faced the equivalent of billions of our eternal hells to open a way for our restoration to relationship with God, to the life we were created for, to shalom. He had to, in whatever way it was carried out, experience what we earned, that punishment we were owed. And only after He had experienced all of God's wrath on sin would He then rise victoriously from the dead, because though he bore our sin, he had none of his own. Death couldn't hold him.